first time I thought I wanted to be a musician was when I heard my brother playing guitar in the room next to me. He came home and my grandparents got him a guitar and he was riffing out. I was about 6 years old. He was playing in the other room. He got some lessons. He was doing simple like. And I was like, what is that, man? That sounds pretty cool. It was like he didn't even know how to play a chord yet. And I listened to him and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I like that. Then I would hear him playing in the other room and coming up with like, he totally exposed me to the Beatles. Guitar-wise, I think I made a big step. I'll never forget the day I was sitting outside. We used to play wiffle ball in the backyard, me and my brother, when he would come home from work. And I was listening to, I think it was PLJ back then, played the rock stuff back then, or NEW, I forget. But I was like listening to like, and I'm like, it was the Kinks. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool, And my brother comes over and he's like, screw that, you gotta hear this. And he puts in this cassette and I hear, and I'm like, what is that? What is that sound coming out of that? And it was Eddie Van Halen playing Eruption, and it was a total, like, music just went from like this to just bang in like 30 seconds to me. Because I was like, what? I had no idea what he was doing, how he was doing that on guitar, but I knew when I heard that, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I don't know how to do it, but I want to do that. I would say that's probably the key moment. But I knew when my brother was playing, I was like, I looked up to him. He was like, he was Jesus Christ to me when I was a kid. He was like a football star. He was a good-looking guy. But all the girls loved my brother. He was just a nice, like, great role model to have as a kid. So anything he did, I wanted to do. So he wanted to play guitar, I wanted to play guitar. But the second I heard Van Halen do something, I was like, that's what I want to do. And I think that's because I didn't start out singing. I started out playing guitar. I always played guitar, and singing became a necessity when I decided to do this by myself because I just got tired of looking for somebody to sing. So I said, oh, I'll just do it myself. But yeah, definitely Van Halen, no doubt. Songwriting, my influences are definitely Lennon and McCartney, a big Beatles fan, love them. I love the fact that, and there'll never be another band like this. I sound like an old fogey, but they started out in like that teeny bopper bubblegum music and evolved into this songwriting genius that they did. If you think about the fact that every song that you hear by them was a hit. Like, nobody has that many hits. Nobody has that kind of repertoire, that kind of, it's just amazing to me. So that's a huge influence. The Beatles are a big, big influence to go from like a small to like a boy band. If you think about it, they're like the original boy band, to going into this huge thing that they became. That's my biggest influence. Guitar-wise, Eddie Van Halen, huge influence on me. Stevie Ray Vaughan was a huge influence on me. I like anything that's funky and soulful, and that's what he was like too. I mean, great guitar players are great guitar players. There's a million of them that people don't know who they are. parents were never supportive of music for me. They're very old fashioned, understandably. Um, you can't make a career out of music. You can't, you need something else. Um, you can make a career out of anything, I think. It depends on what you want to do. My brother has always supported me. He still supports me. He still says, you started, you got to keep going. You don't quit. And he also described me as being very tenacious. So I've taken that, and that will somewhere end up on my arm or some tattoo on my body someday. Um, Tenacity will be written on me somewhere because I'm very like that. Very, very tenacious person. And that's good that he supports me. I've had relationships, people have supported me too, but my family, it's a mixed thing. My parents want me to be a lawyer, or a doctor. My brother wants me to be a rock star. Um, but lately they've come out and supported me a lot more. My parents are very supportive. My father, of all people, who I would never expect to support me, um, has gotten me gigs. My dad has gotten me gigs. He's called me up and been like, "Hey, I got a friend here. He wants you to come down," and blah blah blah. And I always think he's threatening somebody or something. He's doing like the Godfather way of getting me gigs. When my father calls me up and says, "I got a place for you to play," it always sounds like he's got somebody hanging out of a window somewhere to me, the way he is. And if you know my father, you know that's a funny way of looking at it. But yeah, they support me a lot more than they did in the first place. But I guess after playing 25 years, they kind of said, well, I guess maybe he's going to do this. So maybe it's not like a hobby anymore. My first shows as a solo artist were shaky. They all went really well, though, surprisingly for me. I've always been very fortunate where I've done well enough. But I recorded a couple of them. The first shows I did, I recorded at this local bar. And I was like, well, let me hear so I could basically go over it and see what I needed improvement on or whatever. And it sounded like the tape was warbling because I was so nervous the first few songs that I sang. Everything was like, that I sang. Everything was all vibrato. But that stopped after like the first couple of songs. I don't know. I feel pretty comfortable in front of people. I think because I've been playing a long time. It's always been a natural thing to me. As far as starting out, it's hard to sometimes it's hard to get gigs. I lucked out with that. I started from my first show. I just started. There was an open mic, and I went to the open mic and I asked the guy after I was done playing, "Hey, if you ever need a guy, I'd like to try and do this." And he called me the next day because somebody canceled the following day, and I scattered and got a bunch of equipment and put down words to like 30 songs and just did it. And when I started out, I lucked out where people just kept booking me, which eventually turned into me getting so many gigs that I didn't need to do my day job anymore. So I was kind of torn with that. So the hardship of you could make, technically I made better money playing music than I did at my job that I had. That was a 9 to 5 suit and tie, business looking guy job. So it was, do you take the chance on doing music? Or do you go do this job over here that's paying you like $400 a week where you could make that in one show in 3 hours? It was a hardship because you're losing benefits. There's other hardships that people don't talk about that are there that are the worst thing is having a relationship with somebody because you're working nights. If you have somebody that's working during the day, it's hard to have a relationship with them. If you date somebody that does not like you interacting with girls coming up and saying, "Oh, I liked," not even girls that are like, "Oh, you're cute." I'm talking about girls that come up and say, "Oh, I liked your show. I liked your music." I've dealt with people in my past that have, if a girl came up to me and just said they liked a song, they were there on top of me. Who's that girl? What's going on? Did you sleep with that girl? I mean, you deal with jealous people. It's very hard to have a relationship. That's hard to do because in this career choice that I picked, I'm a passionate person. I'm an emotional person. I'm a dreamer. Um, I'm a very romantic person. So I want a relationship with somebody, and it's really hard to have. So your relationship is with your music, and it gets very lonely. You're driving home alone. It's not, you see on TV, you see in the movies, you see these rock stars out there, and you're drinking and they're partying and you're surrounded by people, and that's not the case. That is definitely not the case. Even at the most crazy things have been, it's never been like that. So there are hardships that people don't know about, you know. I think when you first start writing, it's hard, just because when you listen to a song on the radio, I've always, the way I've approached it is, I want to know what about that song is the reason why I like it, which is basically the hook, or like the melody, or maybe you're liking the lyrics to it or whatever. I'm a melody guy. So I would sit there and I would analyze songs that I liked, and I would say, oh, why do I like this specific song? And then I would try and mimic that when I would write a song. Because when you first start writing, you're writing chords that, they sound good together, and you're trying to come up with ideas, but that wasn't good enough. I wanted it to be, hey, why do I like that Beatles song? What about I Want to Hold Your Hand makes me be like, is it the words I want to hold your hand, or is it I want to hold your, that's what it was. It was the whole melody of the song. So basically, started out a little rough at first, until I kind of got into my groove of what I liked. And I still struggle with writing songs now, but it basically just starts with a guitar and idea, and see where you go from there. Favorite moments, when I opened up for Edwin McCain at the Stone Pony. That was the first time I did an all original show, for a national act. I was the only person that wasn't signed to open for him on that tour. There was 300 people there that were just there for me. They all paid to get in. They all knew all the words to my songs. So just the energy of like 300 people singing your songs while you're on the stage like that, yeah, I was really pumped for that. That was the adrenaline for that show alone wiped me out. I mean, I play 7 to 10 shows a week, 3 hours nonstop singing. That was like a 45-minute set, and I was exhausted after that one set, as opposed to playing a whole week, just because it was so much energy. So that has to be the single one that was, it's your first big show. So that was probably the first and my biggest moment, I would say, at that point. Other greatest things, there's been a lot of shows for other people. Joan Jett, Whitesnake, Jeffrey Gaines, so many different people that I got to play with. Smithereens, I love the Smithereens. Smithereens are great. All those shows were great. They're all great moments. I think one of the things that I got the biggest thrill out of, which may not seem like anything to somebody, but when I did the Whitesnake show, the tickets are Ticketmaster tickets that had Whitesnake and John Monica on it. And to me, just having your name on a ticket like that was like huge for me. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Somebody else might not appreciate that. It's a stupid thing, but I don't know. I like that. You know, it feels like you're reaching a plateau. Like there's like different plateaus. You're playing in bars, and then you go up to where you're playing like more on a level with like people that are doing the same thing as you. We're all in the same thing. We're all in the same business. I don't see a difference between somebody that like Bruno Mars or somebody like me, because you're all doing the same thing. There's a fame level that's different, but there's not what you're all trying to achieve. It's all the same. But yeah, I think greatest moments playing stuff like that. I think the first time somebody asked me to sign something for them, I think that was a great moment to have. Um, I'm not into the fame and like thing like that, but I do believe that if you do something where somebody appreciates you enough where they want you to sign something, you should sign it no matter whether you're famous or not, just because of the fact that that person looks up to you, and maybe you'll inspire them to be something that they want to do. You know, I tell my son all the time, I don't care what you want to do, just do it 1,000%. I don't care if you want to be a ballet dancer, a rock star, or a dentist, or a doctor, or a judge, or whatever. Be the best of that you can be. That's a great moment to me. This is like the Wall of Fame, all the stuff. These stuff from like when I opened for Graham Parker over there, and he signed that for me. You know, Marshall Tucker Band, Smithereens. That's from Edwin McCain over there. That was the set list. You know, different people that I've met throughout the years. Jeffrey Gaines, my Eddie Van Halen one, which is like gold to me. This is where I do the drums, all kinds of crap in this room. But you know, over here, I don't know if you'll have to get close to it and get like a zoom in, but the ticket I was talking to you about, the Whitesnake on the top right, there's that one. There's Patti Smythe, Scandal. That was my CD release party. I'm trying to think if I opened for Enough's Enough. There's a bunch of people. You know, and that's I don't have all the tickets, unfortunately, but the ones that I do have, I kept, and I definitely had to keep the Whitesnake one. As long as I can sing or play guitar or be involved in it somehow, recording other people. Yeah, this is my life. So basically, till they throw the dirt on top of my grave, I guess this is what this is what I chose to do. So you got to stick with it. I don't really have regrets. You know, I do what I do for a reason. There's maybe my approach to things. I've never really went looking for a record deal. I never focused on going into the city and doing original shows that would maybe make me bigger or famous or something. But I could regret that, but I don't really regret it because I've made a career out of what I love, and then there's give and take in everything, and I think that you have to realize that you could stay local and make a living doing what you like or what you love, or you could become famous and you could be on the road and you could be constantly gone 6 months out of the year, or waking up in a different town everywhere. I don't know if I really needed that or wanted that. So I don't, career wise, I don't have any regrets that way. I have regrets. I wish that I had more of a family, but that's what you give up with this, which sucks. It's like I've always wanted to have, the house and the kids and stuff like that. And I think not spending as much time with my son as I wanted to. I missed a lot of stuff that, I could have been there for. That's a bigger regret than anything I've done musically. That would probably be the only thing.
It was difficult, when your father's constantly on the road, not really far. I mean, obviously through Jersey and stuff, but yeah, it's not easy when trying to make time for your father or trying to see your father at times is not an easy thing because his schedule was always usually up in the air. Sometimes he'd have off on Wednesday night for a month, and then the next month he got it booked at some kind of bar or something that was maybe about 35 minutes from my home. So yeah, it was definitely really difficult. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Even if it's not like a real rock star going across the world all the time and everything. But yeah, no, I mean, trying to see your father while he's traveling, it's got its difficulties. Hard for me to say what my relationship is like with my father. I mean, it's hard. It was always hard to ever see him. So I guess you can say it was never a 100% normal father and son relationship. Whenever we get together and get to meet and go out maybe to a mall or to a ball game or a movie, it's pretty normal. I mean, it is pretty normal, like a father son thing. Never really felt weird around him. Even though it was hard to always see him. I would say it's not what a typical father and son relationship should be or would be. That's really the best way I could describe my relationship with my father.
The only advice I ever get from people all the time is get out there, be seen, be heard, put yourself out there. I had recently met Greg Howe, who he's played guitar with a million people. Michael Jackson, Christina Aguilera, Justin Timberlake. He showed up at one of my shows through a mutual friend. Watched the show. It was cool to have somebody who's out there, who's done it, come see the show. And at the end of the show, he asked me for my information and everything, and he said to me, which I don't like to tell people this because I don't want it to come across the wrong way because I don't want to seem arrogant to people or anything. I'm not that type of person. But he said to me, do you think that Chris Cornell has anything on you? I love Chris Cornell. I think Chris Cornell is amazing. But for somebody who had been out there playing with these people, to say something like that to me was like the greatest compliment. To put me in that kind of a thing, category with somebody like that. And I said to him, I love him, and he said, that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm making is that if for you to be on that level with him, there's no difference between you and him and somebody else other than he's out there. And if you don't put yourself out there, nobody's going to see you. So that's why I try to, mingle more, interact, network. It's a funny thing because I've always been the type of person where I don't want to have a friendship with somebody that is beneficial to me because of that friendship. I want to have a friendship with somebody because I like them, they're my friend. So there's a lot of phony things out there. I don't want to network with people and try and be like, hey, will you help me out here and there? So I don't even say my own name when I play out. I don't tell people who I am. I'm a terrible self-promoter. So that's the thing that I get. Promote yourself more, get out there in front of people, make more people see you, put YouTube videos. So I try to do that. That's basically the biggest advice that I get from people. Get out there. Put yourself out there. Doing, maybe recording other people, producing other people somewhere down the road, but always writing music, always singing, always performing. I love that. I love playing guitar. As long as my hands let me play guitar, I'll play guitar. Hopefully maybe I put myself out there a little more like I was saying people want me to do. But getting more involved, maybe trying to work with other people. The solo thing has been great and wonderful, but I'm starting to miss like having a band or interacting with, maybe write with somebody else. I'd like to write with a few people that I met that that are out there. See what we come up with. That's about it. Rocky helps write all the songs. It's my little muse. And he always has to wear some kind of rock clothes. I have a denim vest for him. leather jackets. He's got studs. The only thing he doesn't have is this little studded collar yet, but it's coming. You good guy? He's a good boy. Love this slow guy.